Welcome to the 7 best ways to prevent and reverse type 2 diabetes naturally. Our goal in this video is to help you maintain a healthy lifestyle and avoid developing type 2 diabetes. Or if you already suffer from chronic high blood sugar, we want to share these effective methods because they can also be the key for reversing this serious condition. For most people, developing diabetes comes down to a combination of genetic predisposition and lifestyle factors, like excessive weight gain, especially around the abdomen. But here's the good news. Even if diabetes runs in your family, and even if you have already been classified as pre-diabetic, you can still prevent type 2 diabetes. We're about to reveal the proven methods for dramatically lowering your risk of developing diabetes before you suffer the damage of chronic high blood sugar. But before we jump in, can you do us a favor? Click the like and subscribe to help spread the word about how to prevent and reverse chronic high blood sugar. And ring the bell to stay up to date with our channel so you can get the best tips and tricks for fighting back against diabetes. Now, let's check out the 7 best ways to prevent and reverse type 2 diabetes naturally. Number 7. Check in with your doctor. Let's start with the most obvious method for preventing type 2 diabetes, especially if you already have a genetic history. Diabetes is a medical condition, and yes, you can manage and even prevent it with changes to your lifestyle and diet. But to be sure that you are on the right track, your glucose management should all be done under medical supervision. Seeing your doctor sooner rather than later can help you identify the state of your fasting glucose levels, give you an understanding of your cardiovascular health and how that affects your blood sugar and vice versa, provide advice for reversing chronic high blood sugar as quickly and safely as possible, and your doctor can confirm if your glucose readings indicate that you are pre-diabetic and on a path towards a type 2 diabetes diagnosis. Plus, even if you are still at a pre-diabetic level, your doctor may choose to prescribe certain glucose stabilizing medications, like metformin, which may help you avoid a type 2 diabetes diagnosis further down the road. But your doctor can't help you with absolutely every aspect of chronic high blood sugar. What is it just outside your front door that has been proven to help prevent type 2 diabetes? That's just ahead. But first, here's one, or actually 2, obvious steps for better heart health, which may actually make an immediate and huge impact on your blood sugar as well. Number 6. Stop smoking and moderate your alcohol intake. It's quite obvious that excessive smoking and drinking are not good for your health. But were you aware that each of these vices increases the risk of developing type 2 diabetes? The nicotine within cigarettes acts as an adrenergic agonist, meaning it mimics the functioning of the sympathetic nervous system, which increases heart rate and blood pressure. Smoking has also been linked to changes in lipid metabolism, possibly leading to an increase of artery clogging LDL cholesterol while lowering levels of artery clearing HDL cholesterol. So yeah, cigarettes can damage your cardiovascular system, and that can lead to a cascade of other issues, including excess belly fat and diabetes. But nicotine can also lessen the effectiveness of insulin. It does this by triggering the release of certain stress hormones, including adrenaline and cortisol. That can lead to a breakdown of stored glucose in the liver, which heightens blood sugar levels. Smoking also releases pro-inflammatory molecules, like cytokines and C-reactive protein, into the body. This can lead to pancreatic beta cell damage, which can further exacerbate insulin deficiency. The FDA estimates that smokers are 30 to 40% more likely to develop type 2 diabetes than those who do not smoke. Meanwhile, it is also clear that diabetics and pre-diabetics should definitely avoid heavy drinking. Alcohol is metabolized in the liver, and heavy drinking can put a strain on this vital organ, which can disrupt its other functions, including glucose regulation. Excessive drinking can also damage the pancreas, the organ responsible for insulin production. And paradoxically, heavy drinking can also result in hypoglycemia, or low blood sugar. This occurs when alcoholic beverages, especially sugar-filled drinks, cause a release of insulin into the bloodstream. But after that, the body may release stress hormones like glucagon and epinephrine, which can result in sudden hyperglycemia, or a blood sugar spike, after the alcohol is metabolized. These fluctuations in blood sugar over time can lead to heightened insulin resistance. Meanwhile, consumption of alcoholic beverages, especially carb-heavy beers and sugar-filled spirits, may skyrocket your calorie intake, contributing to weight gain. And as a double whammy, these drinks have been found to stimulate appetite, which may result in overeating of fat and sugar-heavy foods, further adding on the pounds while heightening insulin resistance. So, by quitting or even lessening your smoking and alcohol consumption, not only will you improve your heart health, weight control, and blood sugar management, you may be able to prevent a type 2 diabetes diagnosis. There are some other surprising ways that you may be accidentally increasing your appetite. Learn how to reduce these dangerous cravings later in this video. Number 5. Get moving. According to Harvard Health, regular exercise helps lower your fasting glucose levels and your long-term HbA1c levels, while boosting your body's insulin sensitivity. And of course, exercise can help you lose visceral fat, another powerful tool for preventing prediabetes from becoming full-blown type 2 diabetes. Aerobic activities strengthen your cardiovascular system, and they can make your muscle cells more efficient at burning glucose. Studies also show that postprandial exercise, or moving your muscles after eating, can help to slow your digestion while increasing glucose uptake, thus minimizing the risk of a post-meal blood sugar spike. Anaerobic exercise, meaning weightlifting and resistance training, can actually raise your immediate blood sugar, but over time, strengthening your muscles works to improve your fasting blood sugar levels and your insulin sensitivity. So, how much should you exercise? Diabetics are recommended to get around 150 minutes or more of aerobic exercise a week, or around 25 to 30 minutes of moderate physical activity per day. Choosing your exercise may also be simpler than you think. Studies show that even small movements can add up to big health improvements. Try household chores, like doing the dishes and taking out the trash, mowing the lawn, dancing, swimming, riding a bike, or simply go for an after-meal walk. In fact, a Harvard Health study revealed that diabetics who walked for at least 2 hours a week dramatically reduced their risk of dying from heart disease. And the American Diabetes Association says that the more you walk, especially if you pick up the pace, the more you will decrease your risk of developing type 2 diabetes. They suggest a goal of 10,000 steps per day, or about 30 minutes of continuous brisk walking each day. But if 30-minute walks are difficult for you, don't fret. The ADA also notes that you can help prevent type 2 diabetes just by spreading out your movement. So, simply take a few 10-minute walks throughout your day to improve your chances of avoiding a diabetes diagnosis. Now, you may be wondering, what can you do to decrease your appetite? Well, number 4, drink lots of water. Staying hydrated has a host of health benefits, including flushing toxins from the body. But did you know that staying hydrated can also improve your insulin sensitivity? When you're adequately hydrated, your muscle cells can more efficiently absorb glucose from your bloodstream. On the flip side, being dehydrated can directly elevate your blood sugar, as it can trigger the release of stress hormones, which will then force your liver to release stored glucose back into your bloodstream. Regularly drinking water also assists weight management and aids weight loss by increasing feelings of fullness. In fact, nutritionists indicate that oftentimes thirst is mistaken for hunger. So when you feel like reaching for a high-fat food, your body may actually be trying to tell you to reach for a bottle of water. Doctors and dietitians recommend drinking about 8 glasses of water per day. You can also increase your water intake by eating foods that have a high water content, like celery, tomatoes, melons, and cucumbers. A recent National Library of Medicine study confirmed that adequate water intake was associated with a reduced risk of type 2 diabetes in both men and women. Number 3, reduce stress and get enough sleep. Lack of sleep can raise your daytime stress levels. And as you already know, stress increases your body's release of stress hormones, including cortisol. And as previously discussed, high levels of cortisol can cause chronic systemic inflammation, which leads to a host of issues, including heightened insulin resistance. And excess cortisol in the bloodstream can also damage your insulin-producing pancreas. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention states that adults between 18 and 60 years old require at least 7 hours of sleep. Once you hit 60, more hours of sleep are recommended. The CDC further notes that stress from getting less than 7 hours of sleep per night increases insulin resistance and increases unhealthy food cravings and overeating. But it's not just the number of hours that's important, it's also the quality of sleep. Having a regular sleep schedule helps your body with daytime blood sugar regulation. And as such, you should be sleeping around the same time each night. And be sure to sleep in a quiet and dim place. And make sure that the room you are sleeping in is cool, but not too cold or freezing. During the day, reduce your stress and increase your chances of a good night's sleep by using calming techniques like meditation, yoga, and even reading. What is the very best method for preventing type 2 diabetes? That's just ahead. First, you should definitely eat naturally. Changing the way you eat and what you eat can have a massive impact on your overall health. But it doesn't have to be so daunting. Simply tweak what's on your plate by reducing your carbs while upping your intake of greens, lean protein, and foods that are high in dietary fiber. Plus, go for specific natural foods that supply heart-aiding, inflammation-reducing antioxidants, including fruits and vegetables, legumes such as beans and lentils, and 100% whole grain foods. Also, make sure to go for good fat foods. That means choosing foods which contain omega-3 fatty acids and unsaturated fats. These include lean sources of protein like chicken, turkey, and eggs, fatty fish like salmon and tuna, unsweetened dairy products like Greek yogurt and mozzarella cheese, and nuts and seeds. If you need a dessert fix, try some natural sweetness in the form of antioxidant-rich, fiber-packed fruits like grapes, apples, oranges, and pears. And of course, practice portion control. That means avoiding overfilling your plate or going back for seconds. As per the Mayo Clinic, a diabetes diet is simply eating the healthiest foods in moderate amounts while sticking to scheduled meal times. This may mean that an intermittent fasting routine can be of benefit for you. Giving yourself a 12 to 16 hour window of not eating helps your body process your glucose instead of storing it as fat. This can simply mean that you eat your first meal of the day at noon and your last no later than 8 p.m. But if you love breakfast, don't worry. You don't have to skip meals if you choose natural foods, while also practicing proper portion control. Okay, let's get to today's top choice. We believe the very best method for preventing and possibly reversing type 2 diabetes is cut back on processed foods. One of the very best things you can do to avoid a type 2 diabetes diagnosis is simply to cut out those highly processed, pro-inflammatory junk foods. These foods provide little to no vitamins, minerals, or blood sugar stabilizing fiber, but they are loaded with glucose spiking simple sugars, unhealthy chemical additives, and overall calories. So avoid those food corporation creations, including white breads and white flour products, potato chips, crackers, pastries, and even breakfast cereals. And obviously, high sugar, high fat treats like candy bars and ice cream will also raise your risk of developing diabetes. Products with high fructose corn syrup can be especially problematic. These can include certain sugary drinks, corn puffs, and cakes and muffins. High fructose corn syrup can lead to a glucose spike, and it has been linked to heart disease, fatty liver disease, and obesity. Even many meat products are heavily processed and contain added sugars, high sodium levels, and other unhealthy preservative agents. So beware of hot dogs, sausages, bacon, and even deli meats. In the end, you can dramatically reduce your risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And you can greatly improve your insulin sensitivity if you go for whole, natural, less processed foods as much as possible. And please stop buying those cheap junk foods that may add up to some huge medical bills down the road.